Assalamualaikum and hi everybody again. This is Dr. Emma. Alright, in part 1 of the derivative video, I have shared with you what is derivative, the features of derivative contract, types of derivative contracts, why people use these contracts, speculation and hedging. So in part 2, I will share with you two types of derivative contracts. First, forward contract, and the second one, futures contract. Before that, let's distinguish between spot transaction and forward futures transaction. Spot transaction is a feature in spot contract. It is about the immediate exchange of assets and funds. Immediate can be on the spot or in 1 or 2 weeks' time. For example, when you want to buy a microphone over Lazada or Shopee, you order today and the item is delivered to you next week. On the other hand, forward and future transaction, which appears in forward and future contracts, involve exchange things in the future. The future here could mean 3 months and above. The issue is, when we are dealing in future transaction, let's say 3 months, it means we are exposed to uncertainties for 3 months. There are lots of things that can happen in that 3 months' time. Market could not be trending like what we hope to be, or a person who had promised us to sell their goods are not able to sell due to spoil in crops. There are lots of risks involving when you are exposed yourself into uncertain future. With all these issues, how are we going to mitigate them? We can use forward or futures contract. So, what is forward contract? Forward contract is a private agreement between two parties giving the buyer an obligation to purchase an asset at a set price at a future point in time. If you are a seller, you can sell your asset at a certain price in a future point of time. At the point of signing contract, that is today, no money is involved. In 3 months' time, there will be an exchange between money and items. A futures contract is a legal agreement to buy or sell a particular commodity, asset, or security at predetermined price at a specific time in the future. Futures contracts are standardized for quality and quantity to facilitate trading on a futures exchange. If the definition of futures and forward seems to be similar, then what makes them different? There are actually many differences between futures and forward contract. To simplify, you can imagine those dealing with forward contract do their business under a tree. They can simply write their contract over the counter. Each dealer's contract might be different from another, hence the contract is customized. There is no secondary market for them to sell their contract. Since they are not traded in any exchange, they do not have to calculate their own value and trade them in exchange later to gain profit. It means there is no mark to market. Also, they do not have to keep certain margin in exchange reserves since the forward contract is not done in exchange market. Futures contract, on the other hand, is different because they are traded in exchange like in stock exchange. It holds the zero-sum game concept, meaning if one party gains something, another party will lose. Since futures contract is traded in exchange, it must be in standardized form. The exchange could be using traditional open outcry or e-trading system. If you trade futures contract, by the end of expiration date, you may just do cash settlement or you might settle for the actual physical delivery. Since it is organized, traders can mark their transaction to market and transact based on leverage or margin. In video part 3, we will learn about open outcry system, the players and another two contracts.